first thing that you need to know is that the internet is amazing and it's changing every day.
Changing every day.
Genuine question. Do you think people like Vivziepop would perhaps be better off offline instead of posting all their thoughts to the world like your drunk uncle at a family party? Well, regardless of what you think of that, for the moment, put a pin in it. We'll return to her in a moment. Try and think of all your favorite films and shows. Really think about them for a moment. Did you ever once think of what the director's thoughts of their critics were? For me, personally, not really. They often dropped a film or show and were professional enough to keep from telling everyone what they thought about upset critics. And in the case of my fellow millennial audiences, many of these directors didn't even have social media to begin with. So much of the drama was just left behind the scenes, behind closed doors. A great example of this being one I only learned recently because an episode of Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In mentioned it. Hey guys, just a quick reminder to drop a comment below about how you think Vivzie could improve her online image, leave a like, and subscribe. Any engagement helps push my videos up to the cold, uncaring algorithm. It's also totally free and puts a dumb smile on my face, especially after long nights editing these videos, so thank you very much all of you who support me. Director Clive Barker supposedly locked up a critic of his film in a washroom where he told him to give his film a fair review, since it was clear to them that he didn't review the film based on horror films.
He's principal film critic, and he didn't like horror movies. He had trashed Hellraiser when it was released. I don't like war films, but I can give a genuine criticism of a war film within its own genre. And he said, you know what, you're absolutely right. And he gave Hellbound a very good review.
That was something I would have never known about. Today, something like that would have widely been posted about on social media. If you really think about it, social media truly is a remarkably wild concept when you get down to it. It allows all of us people who would have otherwise never once interact with each other to reach out literal countries away. I mean, that's pretty much what I do with my channel as a Canadian. Although let's not kid ourselves here, Canadians are not that much different from Americans. But yeah, those of you old enough might remember a time where the only way you would ever hear about a celebrity's thoughts and hobbies would be on TV, in interviews, or in a magazine. Fast forward to the creation of sites like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and now we can all peer into the lives of those we used to assume were beyond our own realities. Want to figure out what Jack Black is up to? Well, just do a quick Google search and you can know exactly what he ate last week. Want to see how many times Britney Spears can film the same unflattering video of herself dancing for the 500th time? Just look at her Instagram. God bless her spinning soul. However, I'm sure you've noticed the title of this video isn't "Why Social Media is Epic and Doesn't Have Any Moments Where People Are Genuinely Unhinged." This is because the very obvious fact that social media truly has been the Pandora's box we all collectively opened. Where in the past, if a showrunner like Vivziepop wanted to drop a show, the only place you'd ever hear her thoughts would be in interviews. She now can openly voice all of her thoughts online, for better or worse that is, which has unfortunately led her to having, let's just say, a less than favorable image online, whereas in the past you probably wouldn't have ever even thought about her. Just like the once beloved author of the Harry Potter franchise, who has since destroyed most goodwill towards her and the series with the series of tweets that split her fanbase. Of course, this is not to say that it's impossible for social media to have a good effect on someone's image. Various YouTube personalities have often used it to tremendous effect, winning back some of their audience they might have lost. Take the Nostalgia Critic for one. While not someone who's especially vocal on Twitter or in any way that gets himself in hot water, Dog has skillfully avoided becoming entirely irrelevant despite his painfully mediocre productions and videos like The Wall Review and a little thing called Change the Channel. Where any other YouTuber would have just thrown in the towel and given up, he stuck through it, even when people like Oneyplays and my channel's favorite gremlin would openly mock him and the rest of Channel Awesome, frequently drawing them in unflattering ways, writing entire AI-generated stories of them, and mocking the voice he usually puts on for his reviews. Of course, if you know the boys, this came from a place of unironic appreciation and nostalgia for the channel, as, like myself, I grew up watching him and others like him on YouTube, although I will admit watching them is a bit of a guilty pleasure, so that's no doubt where it's coming from for them as well. But on the other side of this, someone like Vivzie would have very likely taken to Twitter or elsewhere to voice her annoyance with Oneyplays taking jabs at her. Doug actually fully embraced it, knowing full and well it would be pretty hypocritical if he wasn't able to take criticism of his own content.
How hypocritical would it be if I'm like, look at this person who doesn't appreciate my art, when I literally make a living mocking people's art. Like, how
Yeah,
hypocritical would that be? But on top of that, it's just funny.
This has led people to actually like Doug online and respect him much more. I mean, in my recent poll, his cameo ranked the highest, even if they don't love his static videos that haven't changed in decades. Whereas Linkara is often dunked on for being the nerd of the party who on streams has frequently angrily said he genuinely hates them for the jokes they make.
The one who constantly mocks me, makes fun of me, and apparently they do an impression of me that everyone loves. Everyone has to point out, wow, his impression of you is so accurate. And he's the one who popularized people calling me the Lightbringer. So, screw him.
Who's the one with a cameo in a televised series, though, Lightbringer man? That's what I thought. On the flip side of this, Vivzie has only doubled down online within recent years on her negative image. One widely talked about criticism of Vivzie is her lack of writing skills, to the point at which Twitter user named Megachan uploaded a video poking fun at her over use of swearing with the meme tag, "If the Digital Circus was written by Vivziepop." Naturally, with the video blowing up, her initial reaction was to immediately take to Twitter to say that criticizing her use of swear words is stupid, because other comedies use swears. She would later ease up on the meme and play with the joke as a means to save face, but the damage was already done. Vivzie's issue is that she often simply doesn't need to respond to people online. She still does, and while some of her responses are very much valid, I must remind you, like in the clip that went viral about her saying that she dislikes the cinema sins culture online.
You know, if there's something that you can't even enjoy it, you just watch it to feel the bitterness and feel them and look for the mistakes. Just fucking grow up. Like that, I'm sorry, but that's an internet culture thing that I really can't stand, and I am very not afraid to be vocal about. Like, I hate the kind of cinema sinsy culture.
Since far too many YouTube channels are overly critical of shows and films, to the point where it's literally all just a grift and bad faith, the problem with Vivzie is when she complains in massive swaths of tweets, it still comes off as incredibly inflammatory, reactionary, and genuinely cringe to everyone. Where it's understandable that at a certain point, much of the hate she gets is just people bandwagoning on her, she still really needs to stop spamming angry responses, as it just ends up allowing more people to bash her online. Hell, I've even been told I'm a part of this, but I'm really not. I really want to see Vivzie grow as an artist, even if she thinks people like me who make video essays are full of shit, just like Twitter critics, since she claims we all use the same talking points and need to create something new. But that's exactly the problem. These talking points are still valid. She needs to change up some of her design choices, as many preferred much of her original designs. Additionally, her writing could really use some improvement. She's not even a terrible writer, she just makes really odd, forced, quick choices that could be easily remedied if she addressed criticism, instead of lashing out at people, and instead said she would be working towards improving her writing, much like Gooseworks, who on Blue Sky has done just that. There's a chance that maybe, just maybe, she could have a much better image online, since although a lot of people might find that the incredible Digital Circus might not be something they like particularly, no one actually thinks Gooseworks themselves is a bad person. They likely just hate seeing the content farm surrounding such a massively popular YouTube series more than anything about the show itself. On that note though, thankfully, with the leak of Season 3, which I actually don't like that happened, the same thing happened with Zach with his Hellbender series. Leaking is never a good thing, guys. It's not good for artists, so don't do it and don't ever approve of it. This has caused her to move to Blue Sky, where she's shown she's actually trying to use it more just to share fan art and her series. She's even stated that she's working to improve how she uses social media, showing she does in fact intend to grow as a person, instead of just angrily yelling at all of her detractors every given moment of life. Vivzie is ultimately, to me personally, and to many, an incredibly talented artist, but she lacks what most people would tell you about when starting a YouTube: the ability to exercise restraint when it comes to addressing your detractors. It's this one thing that I feel personally has held her back from people being more open to appreciating her works. Yes, they may not be to everyone everyone's liking. But to many, it's hard to even give a show a chance if you know its creators actively hate you if you think the show has any flaws whatsoever, even if much of that is blown out of proportion. It's her image online now. I sincerely hope that her moving to Blue Sky and openly admitting she needs to improve will translate to her, in time, keeping herself from continuously ruining her image online. Because despite me having a series of clickbaity thumbnails, hey, a dude's gotta get views somehow, right? In each video, I deeply believe that she still is an inspiration to all indie creators. She just needs to learn to be more self-aware, and perhaps one day, more people will be open to watching her shows outside of mindlessly hating on her work. And much less dumbasses like me would be making videos surrounding her. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.